the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another beautiful week, and thank you for joining me today on the weather forecast. Tonight, we expect moderate to heavy rainfall in some parts of the northwest, south, and the southwest regions, while other parts of the nation, like the center and littoral regions, may expect isolated rains. As low as 14 degrees is expected in the northwest region, the Adamawa region getting a minimum of 18 degrees, and the center and east regions would expect temperatures to get as low as 21 degrees. Detailing onto the north this evening, there may be no chance of precipitation with as low as 27 degrees in Poli, and by morning, it will be a fully clouded sky expected in the entire north region. Next, we take you to the south, where this evening there may be a thunderstorm experience in the entire region, and this will progress till morning in the entire south region. Lastly, we take you over to the southwest, where this evening a thunderstorm experience may dominate the entire region, and a similar experience expected by morning in the southwest. To protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, avoid hugging, stay away from congested areas, and in case of symptoms, call the number 1510. Have a good night.
The Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises has announced plans to accompany young entrepreneurs with inventive projects through funding. In this edition, watch out how some potential youths are bracing up to benefit from the funding. Of recent, there has been controversy on the burial of COVID-19 victims in the country, with complaints to the non-respect of religious or cultural norms. Find out on the 7:30 newscast what WHO and the National Scientific Advisory Council say about the handling of COVID-19 deaths. Plus, commercial activities resume in Goketunja Northwest region on the heels of a meeting between business persons and the mayor following a misunderstanding between council authorities and some groups with vested interests. And those are top stories. Thanks for joining us on this 7:30 news. I am Gladys Tata.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Welcome back. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has signed a decrees appointing personalities of the Higher Judicial Council. The appointments concerned personalities designated by different sovereign institutions, the National Assembly, the Supreme Court, and those designated by the President of the Republic himself. And in one of the decrees, President Paul Biya appoints Mr. Minko Abel as the Secretary of the Higher Judicial Council. The Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises has launched a new fund aimed at boosting development projects of enterprises that fall within the sphere of its jurisdiction. Minister Achille Basiliken III officially announced the prototype fund today in Yaoundé during a press conference, noting that the fund was the latest innovation for development in the sector. Luma Silim Davis tells us more.
The small and medium-sized enterprise can generate growth using its prototype mechanism to facilitate innovation.
A lot of young enterprises or promoters of startups are confronted to the gap of developing their prototypes. It was necessary to put in place a mechanism that will now help them fine-tuning or at least developing a prototype. And this prototype is what is going to help them in reaching out investors.
An implementation stage of 3 years that would permit the measurement of social and economic impact may be ideal before engaging in a longer period.
We intend to reach out development partners, including territorial collectivities and bigger enterprises eager to assist the new products and the new services to be made at the disposal of consumers in our country. By bringing back innovation at the heart of our SMEs. We are empowering them in their capacity to develop new projects, new services. I believe that with these prototypes as developed, it will now facilitate their capacity to put at the disposal of consumers new goods and services.
The government may then come in to help accelerate the development process of products and services through prototype methodologies support.
The Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Social Economy and Handicraft has set aside funds to finance youth innovative projects in the country. A selection exercise to that effect has been launched, with some young entrepreneurs already bracing up to be potential beneficiaries. Ewana Ipola visited the offices of some of the candidates to find out what their projects are all about. His report.
The National Youth Fund, put in place by the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Social Economy and Handicraft, is another trainer program for the financing of youth innovative projects. A number of young entrepreneurs in the ICT sector have already submitted their projects for eventual selection and funding by MINMESA. One of them is a group of 6 youngsters presenting an application known as Yadope.
Yadope is a mobile application which is downloadable on Play Store, on Apple Store. You have the lack of coins on the market. The traders, the buy and sell them, everybody has a problem of a lack of coins. Yado will help us to make many operations. You want to take your taxi, you can take taxi. We expect our government to help us to put on the market our application, because we want to help many Cameroonians to give us 300 million to make this application.
Meanwhile, another group of young men and women have proposed 2 projects known as Easy Learning and Intelligent Women Bracelet.
Easy Learning project is an application, a platform to enable institutes, secondary school, primary school, even university to give access to their materials like courses, exams, easy writing online, to enable the student, no matter where they are, to have access to all this information. The other project is the Intelligent Women Bracelet, to enable women to track their menstrual period. We also help in family planning for our project, for both our projects. We expect 10 million.
The move by MINMESA is to encourage the socio-economic insertion of young people, hence reducing unemployment in the country.
Recently, there have been more and more people who have expressed dissatisfaction with the management of dead bodies in the context of COVID-19. They complain that deceased persons from the virus are buried in short notice, leaving families with little time to prepare, especially with respect to certain religious and cultural norms. How should one bury a person who dies as a result of the coronavirus? Cynthia Sabtala looks into the new prescriptions of the National Scientific Advisory Council's recommendations of the WHO and put it into the Cameroonian traditional context in this report for the debate of the day.
It is often a hard pill to swallow, that of losing a loved one. For a majority of families who have lost someone to COVID-19, the management of bodies and the rapidity at which it is done makes the grieving process even harder.
If somebody is in town and he dies, the tradition that has been there for 30 to 40 years now is that he's kept in a mortuary, and then they have to look for resources because he has to be transferred to his village. When you are burying, the family is there, and then they talk over your corpses and pick soil and throw. That's their own way they are buried you. This with COVID-19 does not happen.
But according to health experts, in the wake of this novel coronavirus, where research is still ongoing, the safety of the public has been of top priority. So in order to reconcile religious norms also highlighted in WHO's guide for the safe management of dead bodies in the context of COVID-19, Cameroon's Scientific Advisory Council adopted a new protocol in which one of the recommendations now grant families 48 hours to bury those deceased from the virus.
Taking into consideration the texts which are available in our country, especially the decree of 1974, that regulates the way burial should be done, especially when you have you die of a contagious disease. The council therefore recommended that people should be given 48 hours, but the burial must take place within the town where the death occurs. But the person can be buried in a family plot if it is available within that town. The burial must be supervised by the medical health authorities and the council. Family members who are around should respect the precautions, but they are free to do whatever religious services they want to do, whatever traditions they want to do.
It is a change anthropologists say will gradually become the new norm because of the way the novel coronavirus has impacted, maybe forever, the way of life of Cameroonians.
The increasing number of coronavirus infections in Cameroon has led to a scramble at the testing centers as people are curious to know their status. With the creation of many screening centers by public authorities, the queues are unending, as Victor Siga says after visiting some of the centers in Yaoundé.
The number of people flocking to the COVID-19 screening centers increases on a daily basis. While some scramble for it out of panic, others simply want to know their status.
I had my brother-in-law. He was a medical doctor, so he died from coronavirus. Since myself, I felt a little sick last week. I decided to come to make sure that I can have myself screened.
Here at the multipurpose sport complex, for example, over 450 people already admitted are waiting to be screened.
At the beginning, we thought the awareness wasn't there. But from the kick of it, every basic day that we come here, we have more than 300 patients that have been tested. So if you can do the statistics as from last week, you can see we have about more than 1,000 people already tested at the Palais des Sports.
After the sample, the results are obtained within 15 minutes, an awaiting moment quite stressful, some say. But medical doctors have put in place strategies to help them overcome the fear.
There's a pre-counseling and post-counseling. Pre-counseling in the sense that when everybody is gathered, you have a psychologist that kind of sensitizes them, that talks to them. And even after the results have been declared to you that you are positive, you still have a psychologist, that's the post-counseling, that assures you that having COVID-19 does not make you, or does not mean that it's the end of the world.
Although the number of confirmed cases continue to increase, screening remains the safest way to have a peaceful mind, and most Cameroonians have understood it.
Business in the hotel sector is yet to recover its usual effervescence that existed before the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Managers of these structures regret they can hardly host 1/4 of customers as was the case before. Discouraging, no doubt, they say they still keep the premises clean while hoping for things to change. Romeo Kenny toured some hotels and now paints a picture for the 7:30 News.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
A phone call from a client to reserve a room in this hotel situated at the Obile neighborhood in Yaoundé.
It has not been that bad, neither too good. So, but we just received few calls for few reservations, and we have 4 to 5 customers, and even at times 6 customers per day.
While receptionists await customers, the cleaners are busy dry cleaning the different rooms.
The turnout has drastically reduced. It has drastically reduced. You know, when movement was restricted, I quite remember, we had just one client staying here in the hotel. But with movement now being authorized by the government, I think we now have 6 customers, 8 customers sometime. Reason why I say things are gradually changing.
In this other hotel in Korong, business remains in a condition of dilemma, management says.
Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, business has not been good. We did some renovation works in order to give a new face to our hotel.
Some suspected COVID-19 patients from abroad were quarantined here for a while, but all declared negative after screening. Although hotels now operate 24/7, managers of the structures stay on the alert vis-à-vis the prevailing health crisis.
Anybody entering this hotel must put on a mask. Secondly, you must wash your hands at the entrance of the hotel.
As they join the fight against the pandemic at their own level, they are optimistic that business will soon blossom like in the past.
We now take you over to the Littoral Region, where national and international flights are expected to resume. They were supposed to have resumed this today, 15th of June 2020 in the country. Prior to this, the Incident System Manager of the Douala International Airport, who also doubles as the Senior Divisional Officer for Vuri, Benjamin Butu, has met with officials of the different services at the airport. The aim is to ensure that measures are put in place to curb the propagation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Gladys Atemba and Chechuma Banla completes the story from our Littoral Region.
This Monday, June 15, 2020, Cameroon's busiest airport presents a deserted appearance. For close to 3 months now, the coronavirus pandemic has stripped Douala's International Airport of its 1.5 million passengers and 50 tons of freight per day to virtually nothing. Following government instructions that flights nationwide should resume this Monday, the picture is expected to change. Yet, the COVID-19 threat remains. It is for this reason that the Incident System Manager of the transport facility, who also doubles as Senior Divisional Officer for the Vuri, Benjamin Butu, held a security meeting with officials of the different services of the airport. During a guided tour of airport facilities, Mr. Benjamin Butu observed that all has been put in place to ensure the respect of the physical distancing measure, wearing of face mask and washing of hands. Management of the airport on the occasion announced that the structure will be constantly disinfected to avoid the contamination of passengers. National and international flights were suspended on the 18th of March 2020 to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
Students of the National Advanced School of Post and Telecommunication and Information and Communication Technology, SUPTIC, will soon benefit from an e-learning platform team to better complete their school year. The Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Madame Minette Libom-Lili Keng, disclosed the information as she visited SUPTIC to appraise the level of respect of anti-COVID-19 measures 2 weeks after resumption. The online platform team, she added, is offered free for the first 6 months by MTN Cameroon and has proven its efficiency in public administrations. Emanuela Vemnyoy has more.
She goes from class to class, looking out for the respect of anti-COVID-19 measures, the wearing of face masks, social distancing, but most especially how distance or e-learning is being conducted. The working session with the school officials brings the Post and Telecommunication boss to eSUPTIC, an online platform of the institution developed within 15 days and which so far has recorded over 7,000 lectures delivered.
The various measures are implemented with utmost stringency. We are gradually moving toward the end of a rather serene and successful academic year.
To the school officials, the coronavirus has pushed for innovation, and the Advanced School of Post and Telecommunications, more than ever before, is ready for better days in the sector.
Permit me to announce the provision of a collaborative and teleworking platform to SUPTIC offered by MTN Cameroon. The aim is to further densify the existing system.
Teachers and students are thus bent on completing the school year smoothly despite the spread of COVID-19.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
And let's now call on our reporter at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, Gilbert Ongene, who has updates on the situation of the coronavirus in Cameroon. Hello, Gilbert. We are told Cameroon has gone past the 1,000 positive cases of the COVID-19 in Cameroon. Are you confirming that to us? Gilbert? You're online. Well, we shall be coming back to Gilbert Ongene at the Operations Center there in Yaoundé. And let's talk some other thing now. 4 government bills have been tabled before members of the National Assembly during a sitting chaired by House Speaker Honorable Kawai Yege Jibril. The bills related to statistical activity in Cameroon, the elimination of illicit trade in tobacco products, the Women's Development Organization, and the conservation of gorillas. Esther Kima presents the purpose of the bills expected to be scrutinized in commissions in the coming days. Esther?
The bill to regulate statistical activity in Cameroon was the first of 4 bills to be deemed admissible by the Chairman's Conference, presided over by House Speaker Honorable Kawai Jibril. It establishes the basic principles on the production of official statistical data and ethic rules for programs defined by the National Statistical Development Strategy. It was tabled in plenary alongside the bill that authorizes the President of the Republic to ratify the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products. Given the proliferation of smuggled cigarettes in the country and the dangers of tobacco consumption, especially among the youth, the protocol will guarantee a global tracking and tracing regime which will detect and sanction perpetrators. In compliance with the Gorilla Agreements signed in 2007 in Paris, members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs will have to scrutinize the bill on Cameroon's accession to the accord. It provides a legal framework for the conservation of some 15,000 gorillas found in the country. The bill on the statute of the Women's Development Organization in the member states of the Organization of the Islamic Conference, on its part, highlights the role of Islam in preserving the rights of women through education and training. Meantime, the 4th Verification Board is expected to scrutinize the files of the 3 alternate members admitted after the resignation of their substantives.
Over in the Northwest region, the Senior Divisional Officer for Ngok Ketunja says economic activities has resumed in Dop, with vehicles plying the Bamenda and Dop Road unperturbed. Anderson Ketong made the revelation to the media on the heels of a meeting between business persons and the Mayor of Dop. Mabel Mekemdi Sakem tells us more from our Northwest Regional Bureau in Bamenda.
The shops that have been opened were sealed by the Ndop Council after the traders respected the 3-day lockdown initiated by separatist fighters to disregard the National Day, May 20th. According to the Senior Divisional Officer for Ngok Ketunja, Anderson Ketong Konge, most of the business persons have understood the lesson the Mayor of Ndop was trying to teach.
We are happy this business community has come to reason and came in a mammoth delegation this morning to visit the mayor. Between 50 and 100 of them to beg the mayor to consider and reconsider unsealing most of those business places that were locked.
The senior divisional officer for Ngokitunja has also explained that measures have been put in place to ensure the safety of business persons and other travelers plying the Bamenda-Ndop road, which he says is passable.
All along, you would find no barricade nor any obstacle on the way because the forces patrol this stretch of the road 24 hours, 24.
A good number of the people of Ndop have expressed the wish for economic activities to intensify hitch-free.
Well, I have indication that Gilbert Ongene is standing by at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with updates on the situation of the coronavirus in Cameroon. And he tells us that the number has gone past 10,000 cases of COVID-19. Gilbert, are you confirming this, or please, can you just tell us what are the updates over there? You have the floor.
Yes, Gladys Atta, I'm confirming that figure. Actually, today there are 276 new cases of COVID-19 in Cameroon, bringing the total number of persons infected by the coronavirus in the country to 10,140. And of course, we have 31 recoveries for today, June 15, 2020, and one death. 31 recoveries and one death. And tonight we have as guest the Dr. Tandy Eric, who is a public health expert here at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. With him, we're talking about the screening sites disseminated across the national territory. Good evening and welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Gilbert.
Now, tell us, since the government adopted the 3T strategy, that is test, track, treat, the number of sites or screening sites in the country have multiplied. Can you update us on the areas where screening takes place in Cameroon today?
Yeah, unlike before, Gilbert, you know, when we started with just Yaoundé being the screening site and followed by Littoral, the case has been different today, where almost all regions now have the capacity to run tests, and even right up to the level of the districts, they are now performing screening tests, being it the polymerase chain reaction or being it the rapid test procedure that the government, under the control of the head of state, has provided to the population. So right now, with the effective decentralization of testing and management of COVID-19 in Cameroon, we are expecting to see more diagnoses and more results being delivered within the shortest time in the days ahead.
Doctor, last question. What is the procedure and mechanism put in place in these screening centers to take care of people who come for their test?
It is worth noting here that we have two forms of screening, you know. Screening where individuals voluntarily come up for the center to know their status as far as COVID is concerned. And the second one is the tracking procedure, where once we track an individual, we go to the community and search for this individual, or we simply use the phone call to invite this individual to a screening site. All this, the result is to confirm if somebody is positive or negative, so that we could actually curb the chain of coronavirus in Cameroon. But remember, being voluntary testing or contact tracing and testing, all is free of charge. And again, the management right up to recovery, meaning even if you are hospitalized, all this is free of charge as provided by the government of Cameroon. So each and everyone, do not be worried once you're producing or feeling any signs and symptoms of what has been prescribed as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Simply move to a screening center. Do not bother about expenditure. Once you've declared positive, I think you've been declaring recovery cases, and we've been seeing them. So there is no need to panic. There is no need for fear. All is that there is a protocol and Cameroon is managing COVID-19 effectively.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Eric Tandy, Public Health expert here at the Public Health Emergency Center, where you have to take home this. We have 276 new cases of infection to the coronavirus, bringing the total number of those who are infected by the coronavirus in Cameroon to 10,140. We have 31 recoveries and 1 death today in the country. Back to you, Gladys.
Well, Gilbert Ongene, quite scary, the trends here in Cameroon. And we thank Dr. Eric Tandy for always being there to enlighten the public on the coronavirus pandemic situation in Cameroon. Some company representatives of Société Camerounaise de l'Industrie de l'Exploitation de Bois (CIEP) has visited the former Cellucam factory in Edea as part of feasibility studies for a project to transform wood and pulp into paper. Messi Ashunebeye of CRTV Littoral reports that the project is worth 50 billion CFA francs and promises to offer 6,000 jobs.
We are at the former Cellucam site, some 7 kilometers away from Edea in the Sanaga Maritime Division. Here, 36 hectares of land with a huge potential for energy production, wood and paper processing, water treatment, automobile maintenance, and engine rentals lie in ruins waiting for rehabilitation. Like many other investors visiting the abandoned site, heavily guarded by elements of the Rapid Intervention Battalion B, representatives of the company Société Camerounaise d'Industrie et d'Exploitation de Bois (CIEP) are on a mission to gather ample information that will help launch a rehabilitation project.
The project has 3 phases. The first phase consists of production and transformation of the wood. I mean lumber, industrial wood. And this phase is gonna go from 2020 to 2022. And the second phase of the project consists of putting in place the energy units. We are going to use the scrap wood in order to make ships and pellets, which will be used in biomass plant in order to produce electricity. And the third phase of the project will consist of using basically the wood to make pulp like paper, carton, I mean, all the things that we use to write on.
The information gathered during the site tour is part of feasibility studies for the project, which offers hope for the population and former workers.
The coronavirus scare has made voluntary blood donation even more difficult as donors have become hard to come by. In a bid to stimulate people to give blood and save life, a non-governmental organization known as the Preventive Medical Foundation is partnering with hospitals to sensitize donors on the life-saving gesture of blood donations. Alice May visited some hospitals in Yaoundé and brought back this situational report.
The goals of blood donors is to save lives and improve the health of others. Rather, patients say the procedure to obtain this blood is usually very difficult.
To obtain blood in this hospital is not very easy. We have to pay for the blood back first, then bring along 2 donors who will have to replace the blood you have brought, and blood donors are not easy to be seen. Thanks to this hospital, when there is an emergency, they give you the blood to save the life of the patients first and tell you to bring donors later.
Medical practitioners say the difficulties faced to obtain blood for patients lies at the level of getting voluntary donors.
We have many difficulties to supply demand of blood because we don't have benevolent donor. We always use families donor. When patient needs the blood, he comes here with 2 donors and fees. To have a probability to save 1 blood bag, because we make many tests on this blood, and we have infected blood.
Associations such as Preventive Medical Foundation are out to assist hospitals to get voluntary donors.
We are mobilizing donors to come and donate blood to help patients so that when they come to the different blood bank, like Yaoundé Central Hospital Blood Bank, they can easily have access to blood in case they need it. And what we are doing is, like, we are currently in the field, we are mobilizing youth. We go to churches, through schools, we sensitize youth to come and donate blood to help patients.
With the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the percentage of blood donors have dropped.
Faced with the difficulties of the COVID-19 pandemic, the percentage of donors have dropped. People are afraid to come and donate their blood because they are afraid to be contaminated. This has affected our stock. We have limited stock to satisfy the demand of patients.
Health personnel say a kilo of blood obtained from a donor can be separated into 3 different bags: 450 milliliters for adults and 250 for children.
The global investment trading enterprise has launched an innovative digital service known as Liep Linal. The name of the service, Liep Linal, in the Bassa language, is one of the prominent national languages in Cameroon, which means over with poverty. In less than 2 years of activity, the global investment trading enterprise has already raised the sum of 21 million CFA francs and boasts of a fleet of the latest brands of cars in 2020. Maimuna Njoya of our Center Regional Station has the details of that advertorial.
The electronic currency, or call it cryptocurrency, known as Liep Limal, has twofold values. First of all, it is one of the first digital currencies in Cameroon, and according to its initiator, 37-year-old Emile Parfait Sim, Liep Limal, which means in the native Bassa language, poverty is over, is a service which seeks to valorize and promote the Cameroonian and African language on the international scene. Thanks to this currency, which is expected to be adopted by the biggest fraction of the population by 2025, Bernard Bayiha has won this recent Prado brand worth 120 million CFA francs and an e-cash amounting to 21 million CFA francs after 20 months of investment. As explained by Emile Parfait Sim, the Chief Executive Officer of the Global Investment Trading Enterprise, the winner, referred to as Coach, is the first outstanding subscriber of Liep Limal out of 23,000 people.
I feel happy, really. I can be involved in the reduction of poverty because I used to use this Liep Limal product to help other people, to help people in my village and to help people around me.
People who subscribe to this digital currency service can benefit from an interest rate that varies between 10 and 54% every year. Some members are optimistic about this service and hope to get to the level of the happy coach.
There is another way to be a man in life. So today we have our member who think that what we are going to do is the best thing we have to do, and he goes without, and you see what he gets today.
It should be underlined that the Global Investment Trading Enterprise has adopted a marketing strategy which is supposed to benefit thousands of unemployed youths.
And this advertorial draws the end of this newscast. Thanks for watching. Join Romeo Chisengok at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing